Hey, Mr. Chair, we're now live streaming on YouTube.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Richmond Hill. I would ask that we would start this evening's meeting with the reading of the preamble, please.
Today's Committee of Adjustment meeting is hereby held as an electronic meeting. The Committee of Adjustment for the City of Richmond Hill has been appointed by Council to consider applications for minor variance and consent in accordance with the Planning Act. The Committee's decision may be appealed to the Ontario Land Tribunal. All appeals and associated fees must be filed directly with the Secretary in accordance with the Planning Act. To be notified of an Ontario Land Tribunal hearing, you must request a copy of the Committee's decision in writing. Written comments. The public may submit written correspondence regarding agenda matters to Committee of Adjustment at richmondhill.ca. All written correspondence received by 4:30 p.m. today has been provided to the committee members electronically. Electronic delegations. Delegates are reminded to please mute your microphone or phone and turn off your video until it is your turn to speak. Please make sure your microphone is not muted when you begin speaking. If members do not have questions or after all questions have been asked, your delegation is over. Please sign off of Zoom or hang up the phone once the committee has made a decision on your application. And you can watch the rest of our meeting on live stream.
Thank you. Our Secretary Treasurer is Mrs. Jamie Hope Herman, and our Assistant Secretary Treasurer is Ms. Linda Asikas. And assisting us this evening from our planning department is Ms. Sarah Moder. Do we have any conflicts of interest this evening, gentlemen? I see none. And do we have any requests for adjournment, withdrawals?
To you, Mr. Chair, we have none.
In that case, I will call our first three applications at 18 Mayvern Crescent. That would be B032/21, A097/21, and A098/21. Do we have any additional correspondence on these applications?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. And our applicant.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. My name is Adam Layton from Evans Planning.
Good evening.
All right. I do have a presentation that is being shown on the screen at the moment. However, given the history of this site, which the committee may recall was approved in August 2020, and in the interest of brevity, I could forego the presentation and simply suffice to say we've reviewed the materials or the recommendations of staff, and we do concur. And as the application is identical to the one that was previously approved, the prior owner was just unable to satisfy the conditions within the prescribed time frame.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address these applications at 18 Mayvern Crescent?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we have Mr. Greenberg. He resides at 16 Mayvern Crescent.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
It's Adam Greenberg speaking. Is now the time for my comments or just not sure?
It's time for your comments, yes.
Oh, okay. I've never done one of these before, so I apologize if I seem a bit green, but I'd like to chime in and mention that obviously I'm opposed to these proposed changes for a few reasons. Number one being I live next door. Number two being that I think it's going to change the character of the neighborhood. And that's really it. So I just wanted to voice my opposition.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else in the audience wish to address these applications at 18 Mayburn Crescent?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And do we have any further comments from planning?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Thank you. Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? I see none. I will entertain a motion. Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I would like to motion that consent application B03221 and minor variance applications A09721 and A09821, all at 18 Mayburn Crescent, be approved, subject to the terms and conditions in the city's staff reports.
Moved by member Duretzi, seconded by member Master. All in favor? It's approved. Thank you very much. Our next application is application B003/22 and B004/22 at 274 Carrybrook Drive. Do we have any additional correspondence on these applications?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we do. I'm just wondering, it's up to the committee. Would you like to hear B004/22 together, which would be 282 Richmond Street with their related applications?
That's a B004. I called B003 and B004. Sorry, I didn't give you the second address. Second address is 282 Richmond Street. That's for B004/22.
And yes, we do have a letter of objection from 295 Carey Drive, and it was received April 27th, 2022.
Thank you. And our applicant.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Murray Evans here on behalf of the owners of these properties. Like my colleague, Mr. Layton, I'll try to be brief. The applications before you are a simple lot line adjustment and a severance. And the result of that, and if I could just ask Ms. Asikas to pull up my graphic, would be very helpful. But there's simply a lot line adjustment and one severance. And what the end result of this is a creation of end result of 3 lots where 2 lots presently exist. And this, as you can see, Mr. Chairman, the yellow portion is being severed off of 1 lot, added to another lot, and then that secondary lot. Again, Ms. Asikas, if you can go to the next slide, please. Okay. Well, at the end of the day, that yellow and the white spot would be split in 2, creating 3. There you go, 3 equal lots having 13-meter frontages. And just for the committee's information, this development concept went through a zoning amendment process. So we went through the public process and went through council. Council obviously approved this, enacted a bylaws recently as last October, and hence the matter is now before the committee. I am aware of the letter of objection, and the concern raised was parking and traffic. And if I can just read one sentence from the staff report, which was before City Council when it considered the zoning, it says, given all of the above, staff is of the opinion that the proposed development accommodates sufficient on-site parking, in that there will be 4 parking spaces on this for each home. And the addition of 1 lot for a single detached dwelling will not significantly contribute to the existing traffic conditions of the local street network. So the concern about traffic and parking has been considered by not only staff, but also City Council. And it was found to be considered an acceptable implication of creating more lots in an urban area. So I'll leave it at that. If the committee has any questions, I'll be pleased to answer any that you may have.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Does anyone in the audience wish to address these applications at 274 Carrybrook and 282 Richmond Street?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, we have none.
And do we have any further comments from planning?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Thank you. Gentlemen, any comments, questions, concerns? Mr. Master?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I have a question for Mr. Evans. Do you know if they have a double car garage? You mentioned there were 4 parking spaces per unit.
Through the chair to Mr. Master, yes, we submitted building plans. Each one has a 2-car garage with obviously a 2-car width driveway. So there's the ability to accommodate 4 cars on each of the properties.
Okay, no concerns. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any further questions? In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Gossi.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to raise a motion to approve item D consent application B00322 at 274 Carey Brook Drive, and item E consent application B004/22 at 282 Richmond Street, subject to terms in the staff report.
Moved by member Gossi, seconded by member Duretzi. All in favor? It's approved. Thank you very much. Good night. Our next application is application A002/22 at 69 Alpaca Drive. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we received TRCA comments, comment letter on April 25th, 2022. And we received 2 letters of support from 69 and 71 Alpaca Drive.
Thank you. And our applicant.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Good evening, members of the committee. I'm the authorized agent for 69 Alpaca Drive. My name is Noor Elgin. And we're looking to propose a 2-story sunroom addition, and we're requesting relief for the minimum rear yard setback to be reduced from 7.5 meters to 5.3 meters. It looks like the planning staff are in favor of the proposal and the TRCA as well. So if I don't have anything to add, if you have no questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 69 Alpaca Drive?
Sure, we have none.
And do we have any further comments from planning?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Thank you. Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? I see none. I will entertain a motion from Mr. Master.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that minor variance application A0222 at 69 Alpaca Drive be approved with all the conditions contained therein, including the new TRCA conditions.
Moved by member Master, seconded by member Gossi. All in favor? It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night. Our next application is application A005/22 at 200 Old Bayview Avenue. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And our applicant.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, can you hear and see me?
We can do both, sir.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm the owner of 200 Old Bayview Avenue. Glad to see you tonight. We would like to apply for minor variance for allowing us to build a porch on a flankage yard, which will have to reduce the setback only for the porch area from 3 meters into 0.9 meters. As well as because the city is going to have to take over the daylighting triangle, the minimum lot area will have to reduce from 569 square meters to 568.6 square meters. And also as a result of that, the minimum distance from the corner of daylighting triangle will need to be reduced from 6 meters to 3.09 meters.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 200 Old Bayview Avenue?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And planning, do we have any further comments from planning?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Thank you. Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I move that minor variance application A005/22 at 200 Old Bayview Avenue be approved, subject to the terms and conditions in the city's staff report.
Moved by member Duretzi, seconded by member Master. All in favor? I see 4 hands. It's approved. Thank you very much. I see 5 now. Good night, sir.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Our next application is application A007/22 at 15 Country Heights Drive. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And our applicant.
Good evening, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Marcus of the Humphreys Planning Group, representing the owners on this item here before you. We're applying a minor variance to seek relief from the zoning bylaw 128-04, just to accommodate the construction of a proposed attached garage and covered patio addition to the existing single detached dwelling. We're seeking relief with 3 variances, one being reduced minimum side yard setback from 3 meters to 1.5, an increase of the maximum GFA from 500 square meters to 653 square meters. Also a third variance, an increase of the maximum development envelope from 40% to 46%. I had the chance to review the staff report and concur with planning staff's recommendations for approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 15 Country Heights Drive?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And planning, do we have any additional comments?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Thank you. Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? In that case, I'll be very happy to entertain a motion. Mr. Gossi.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve item H, minor variance application A007/22 at 15 Country Heights Drive, subject to terms and conditions in the staff report.
Moved by member Gossi, seconded by member Master. All in favor? I see 4 hands. It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night. Our next application is application A008/22 at 195 Rumble Avenue. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And our applicant.
She's muted.
I'm afraid we can't hear you.
Try that again. Can you hear me
Oh,
now?
there you go.
My apologies for that. Okay, good evening, members of committee and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Deb Alexander with Alexander Planning. I am here to represent the owner of property at 195 Rumble Avenue. The agent for this applicant was unable to attend the meeting tonight, and I've been asked to present this application on his behalf. So I'm kind of pinch hitting here. The development is currently proceeding through the site plan approval process. Staff have indicated their support in the staff report tonight. I do have a presentation if committee would like to hear it, but otherwise I'm prepared just to allow to pass it back to you, and I'm able to answer any questions if you might have any.
I'll leave that decision up to you.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll go ahead then. Linda, if you could put the slides up, please. Thank you. So this property is located on the north side of Rumble Avenue. It's west of Yonge and north of Major Mackenzie. It's currently undergoing a site plan approval process. The owner is proposing to demolish the existing home, replacing it with a new two-story home with an in-ground pool and cabana. To facilitate the new home, some relief from the zoning bylaw is requested for reduced side yard setbacks, increased maximum GFA, and increased maximum height. And to facilitate the accessory cabana, relief for maximum height is also requested. Next slide, please. Thank you. The proposed reduction in side yard setbacks from 3 meters to 1.2 on one side and 1.65 meters on the other is shown in fuchsia on this plan. This setback is typical for newer bylaws, and you can see that these setbacks are also similar to existing setbacks on the adjacent properties, which are marked on this plan by the small red arrows. Not sure if you can see them on the west side and then again on the east. Next slide, please. This proposed development is a two-story home with a proposed GFA of 554 square meters, where 267 square meters is permitted. But we note the GFA includes both the first and second floors, but this footprint of the home is only 290. So I wanted to show you, this lot is quite large. It's over 2,000 square meters. The home has coverage of only 13%. And you can see on here in purple and pink, you can see the existing dwelling that's being demolished. The pink and orange in the center is the new house. So you can see it's quite a bit smaller from what's already there. So there is no negative impacts anticipated as a result of this increased GFA. Next slide, please. The height of the main building is proposed to be 9.04 meters, where 8.5 meters is permitted. But you can see there's a lower eaves, which occupies about 50% of the front facade, and it serves to reduce the appearance of the overall building height. The upper portion of the roof only occupies a small portion of the overall width of the building, and that's the portion that we're getting the relief for this height. This elevation has been designed to minimize the height impacts at the street line, so we don't anticipate any impacts to the streetscape as a result of this request. Next slide, please. This is just a sketch out of the cabana. It has a proposed height of 3.2 meters. 2.5 meters is what is permitted. This increase in height is very minimal. So we don't anticipate any impacts to the neighboring properties. And last slide, please. There we go. So these requested variances are minor in nature. They're desirable for the use of the property. They maintain the intent and purpose of the official plan and the zoning bylaw. As such, these variances meet the 4 tests of a minor variance and are appropriate for approval tonight by the committee. And I'll be pleased to answer any questions which committee or members of the public might have. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 195 Rumble Avenue?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And any further comments from planning?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
And gentlemen, any comments, questions, concerns? Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, just one observation, our minimum side yard setback is less than that 4 feet. Do we need a clause regarding the garage doors and that they would swing inside rather than outside? Question to staff, I guess.
Through you, Mr. Chair, it wasn't identified. However, I would leave whether or not we need a clause to Ms. Hope.
I'm not sure if I couldn't tell from the plans, but perhaps the applicant can advise if there is actually a garage door going out to the side yard. If not, it's a non-issue.
You, Mr. Chair, if you could be just a moment. As I said, I'm pinch hitting this one, so I'm going to have to take a look at the plans for you.
There didn't appear to be a floor plan attached.
I don't have the floor plans either, but I do have some elevations that the architect provided to me. I'm looking at them now and I don't see any. Oh, wait a minute. No, there is one small door off the garage with a stone step. So yeah, if you wanted to put that clause in there, we could do that.
It seems to me that we use that clause at 1.2 meters, do we not?
Anything less than 4 feet. So that should actually be like 1.23 or something like that. It's a technicality, but again, it's that door needs to be recessed. Just that we make that point, I think would be sufficient in the conditions. That's all. Through you, Mr. Chair.
Are we okay with that, Jamie?
Through you, Mr. Chair, if the committee feels the condition is necessary, we can add it.
Do you happen to have that clause handy?
If you can give me one moment.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'd like to just review that.
Mr. Chair, so it is where the minimum side yard is reduced to 1.2 meters, no doors shall be permitted in any wall adjacent to the side lot line. Notwithstanding the foregoing, where the minimum side yard is 1.2 meters, a door may be permitted in a wall adjacent to the side lot line if the door is recessed into the wall and no stairs project beyond the main side wall to the minimum required yard.
Sorry, can I bump just in here for a moment? If we can bring up the site plan again, I just want to show the door is actually on the west side, which is where the garage is, and that setback is already 1.65 meters. Are we able to pull that back up? And just go back to the number 4 plan. Yeah. So actually, where did it go? Number 3. I'm sorry. My apologies. There it is. So that's a 1.65 meters on that west side, and that's where the door is.
I guess there's no way we can blow that up, is there, Jamie?
Yep.
There it is, 1.65 meters on the west side.
Okay.
You're just
And
inside the fuchsia bubble.
proposed 3-car garage, and what it doesn't show the door though. But that's okay, as long as we got that 1.65. Okay, Mr. Duretzi? Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Okay, if there's no further questions, I would have a comment I would make before I ask for a vote. My comment would be I drive by there almost every day, and this looks like a very nice addition to the street. So, gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Master.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that minor variance application number A008/22, located at 195 Rumble Avenue, be approved with all the conditions contained therein.
Moved by member Master, seconded by member Duretzi. All in favor? I see 4 hands. It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Our next application is application A009/22 at 178 Stevens Street. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And our applicant.
Hi, can you hear me?
Good evening. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chair. Good evening, committee. My name is Max Marchesen, and I represent the homeowners for this application. Hello?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so we are asking to have a minor variance on a side yard setback to accommodate for a walkway for a secondary unit. Just as a note, everything is existing. It's just a technical variance. I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application? at 178 Stevens Street?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And planning, do we have any additional comments?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Thank you. Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, just some clarification. Was having a difficult time finding exactly where this 1.09 meter reduced side yard actually is, because the northwest corner of the building is actually 1.17 meters setback, and where I expect that the door will go, there's actually a larger setback. So unless there is a structural concrete stairwell that's going down on the side yard, which has not been shown on any of these plans, I couldn't find where that 1.09 is. If the applicant could identify where this proposed stairwell or entrance will go and where the 1.9 meter side yard reduction is, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's actually a very good question. So, and that's a question that we had a discussion over for quite a month or month and a half with the staff. So the door is actually in the middle of the building, if you're in the middle of the side yard. And because the fence or the property line goes a little bit in an angle, so the back side of the building has a shorter setback than the front.
Yeah.
And that's why it's very technical, because I was trying to avoid this committee due to that factor, because I did not personally believe that, that it's actually in the way of a tenant to go into the dwelling. But yes, actually the setback issue is at the back of the building, which has nothing really physically to do with the walkway towards the door.
Well, I'm looking at it through a magnifying glass here, and I'm looking at the back corner at 1.36 on one side and 1.17 on the other, and you're asking for 1.09. I don't see where the 1.09 is.
So again, the 1.09 is at the back corner, between the back corner and the property line of the building. I wish if I could just have the site plan on, so that I could kind of refer to something to show you guys where it is.
Do we have that information available, Jamie?
If you can just give us a minute, we'll try to find the file.
I believe it's at the garage.
Well, no, it's actually at the back of the building. The garage is at the front. Our setback issue is at the back
The back
of
doesn't
the building.
Then the label must be incorrect on the plan.
Through you, Mr. Chair, typically there would be a concrete stairwell if it's accessing the basement area, and maybe it's the setback to that concrete structure that they're applying for.
Yeah, so actually you can see here at the bottom of the plan, you can see the entrance door, which is, if you're looking at the building from the front of the house, would be on your left side. And if I could just see the site plan, which would probably be the first drawing. If we can scroll up all the way to the first drawing. So is it possible to scroll up? This is, yeah, the opposite direction. Yes, exactly. Yes, so our issue is, so, okay, so it's, I'm not really sure what it says it's actually 1.17. If you can see on the left side of the north, if you're looking at the back of the building and the short setback, which is 3 foot 10 inches, 1.17.
Yes.
So
We
this
can
is
see that.
actually, yes, so this is the relief that we're asking for, because even though the door is in the middle of the building, you can see the triangle that actually shows where the door is.
Okay, so I'm still don't know why you're asking for 1.09 when in fact it's 1.17.
I think there is a, yes, so I'm also not sure why it's 1.09. I'm not sure where the discrepancy is from, but this is the variance that is being asked to relief from.
Through you, Mr. Chair, may I shed some light on this?
Yes, please.
Can you see my circle in red? That distance seems a lot less than 1.17. And that's what I was talking about.
Sorry if I may explain. No, this distance is not an issue because our door is on the other side of the building.
Oh, it's not about the door, sir. It's about the distance from the building to the property line.
Well, through you, Mr. Chair, I mean, the minor variance is to accommodate a side
Exactly.
basement door entrance. That's what we're dealing with. So if this is a
Yes.
typo and it should be 1.17, then let's recognize it as that. I mean, I don't particularly have an issue with the 109, but you know, we're granting a blind variance. That's my concern. If you can show me the 109, then it's not an issue, but perhaps it's the 1.17. Does the zoning, the side yard setbacks, the minimum side yard setbacks for this zone is 1.22? Is that what the zoning bylaw allows? So if this is 1.17, then that's the variance.
So it's actually 1.2. And we're asking to, yes, it does say we're asking to reduce to 1.09, but I'm sure we're looking at this. So I think that the reason it was 1.09 because originally this site plan of ours was rejected by planning department. They said that the distance is actually incorrect, and in real life it's 1.09. So I think that if 1.09 would solve the issue, because that's just a technical issue, right? We're not really building anything outside of the building nor inside of the building. So that would work for us, and that would give this relief.
I'm sorry, I was looking up the, just to see if there was a mathematical issue there with the 1.9 and 3.57 feet, and there was not. Oh, sorry, 1.09. So you were saying you were okay with the 1.17?
No, sir.
No, sir?
If I may explain that again. I think that there is a discrepancy. The first site plan that we submitted, which I think this could be the first site plan, was a little bit incorrect. And the staff told us that our site plan is incorrect and that it should be 1.09. I think that you're looking at maybe an older drawing, but since 1.09 would also solve our issues, and it would kind of it would do the work. So maybe we could leave it to that. And yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any further questions, comments, concerns, gentlemen? Mr. Master.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I feel comfortable if the drawings match the variances, personally.
I would agree with you there 100%.
I think that this drawing shown is older version of the drawing, and unfortunately, I can't show you a newer version of it. So we would assume that staff would have the newer version of the drawing because they requested for it.
Through you, Mr. Chair, one last question to staff. Any chance that you might have the latest updated site plan, and so we can move forward with this?
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
The applicant did not submit an updated site plan to Committee of Adjustment. They may have done it through the site plan process, but we do not have it at this point in time. So we cannot go by a site plan that was given to another department for another application.
Okay, one final comment through you, Mr. Chair. We know that these variances are tied to a site plan. Maybe that's what Mustafa was getting at. So are we comfortable with this, or are we suggesting that a deferral take place until we have the updated site plan to identify the correct location for this 1.09?
Personally, I think a deferral would be a very good idea.
Absolutely.
I'm uncomfortable with confirming something that is based on inaccurate information here. I don't know.
Sir, may I ask what the deferral be for the next meeting?
It can be as early as the next meeting. Yes, sir.
Perfect. I think you're correct. That's what should be done. Yeah.
Gentlemen, I will entertain a motion.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the only other issue was with respect to the costs of the deferral. I'm comfortable with waiving those costs because it sounds like it's a technicality, but again, I'll leave that up to the other committee members.
Well, if you'd like to put the motion through to that effect, we can certainly let you know whether we agree or not. I have no problem with that myself.
Okay, through you, Mr. Chairman, I would move that minor variance application A009/22 at 178 Stephen Street be deferred until the next meeting or until the end of the year or sooner.
Moved by
without
member
costs.
Without cost. Moved by member Duretzi, seconded by member Gossi. All in favor? I see 4 hands. We're all approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, committee. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And our next application is application A014/22 at 500 Elgin Mills Road East. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Mr. Chair, we do not.
And our applicant.
Good evening, Chair and members of the committee once again. It's Marcus from Humphreys Planning Group.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Representing the owners of 500 Elgin Mills. We brought forward this application in front of the committee just to seek relief from the bylaw in support of constructing a new 2-story addition to an existing private school, secondary school, to accommodate additional classrooms and washroom and staff rooms. With regards to the variance, we're seeking to increase the maximum floor area ratio from 33% to 38%. Once again, I had the chance to review the planning staff's report and concur with the recommendation for approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 500 Elgin Mills Road East?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And planning, do you have any further comments?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Thank you. Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I have no concerns with the variance that's being requested this evening, but I did want to point out, I frequent this street, Edward Street, quite often, several times a week, and just wanted to point out that there's 2 driveways there, one way in and one way out. And for the life of me, I don't know how that entrance into the site got approved so close to the intersection of Elgin Mills. It's a very dangerous entrance. When you're making a left turn on Edward Street, you have to navigate the incoming traffic, westbound traffic along Elgin Mills. And then you have to be aware of whether or not there's a car turning into that driveway at that location. So I don't see a site plan like this getting approved nowadays through the region, being that close to a intersection and a traffic signal. I just wanted to put that out there for the record, but I have no issue with the variance. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further yes, Mr. Master.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just want to make sure that the addition to the building doesn't trigger any extra parking. I assume they would have caught it if it did. I just want to make sure. So my question is to the applicant.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so we did the parking calculations and we are still providing over the minimum or required parking.
Okay. I'm good.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions? In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Gossi.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that item K, minor variance application A014/22 at 500 Elgin Mills Road East is approved, subject to terms and conditions in the staff report.
Moved by member Gossi, seconded by member Master. All in favor? It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Have a good night.
You too. Good night. Our next application is application A090/21 at 332 Elmwood Avenue. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. And our applicant.
Good evening. I am Joe Battaglia, the architect.
Good evening.
I have read the staff report and concur with their recommendations that this application be approved as it is minor in nature and the foretest of the Planning Act. I can answer questions if there are any.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Do we have anyone in the audience wishing to address this application at 332 Elmwood Avenue?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And any further comments from planning?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Thank you. Gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Master.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that minor variance application number A090/21 located at 332 Elmwood Avenue be approved with all the conditions contained therein.
Moved by member Master, seconded by member Gossi. All in favor? It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Our next application is application A077/21 at 102 Westwood Lane. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And our applicant.
Hello, Mr. Chair. I actually am also the agent or the representative for item number N. So I'll have a presentation for both, if you don't mind. They are actually quite similar in nature on what they're proposing as well as their location, if that is okay.
Let me just double check to see if we had any feedback, any correspondence on application A080/21 at 17 Pebble Lane Court. That's the one you want to deal with at the same time?
Exactly, yes.
Okay. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. You may proceed with both presentations.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my name is Priscilla. I am from Sunrise Group, and I'll be representing both applicants for these properties. So from the next slide in the presentation, you will see the location of the properties, which are neighboring to one another within the yellow area. So that is consistent of both 102 Westwood as well as 17 Pebble Lane. So the properties themselves are located in Richville community. The applicants are both proposing to have a cabana in the rear of their yard, and which will be used for their personal use. The location of the cabanas themselves are not anticipated to have any negative impacts to the streetcase. Additionally, it will be shielded from sight due to the large mature trees on property, as well as additional trees that will be planted on site. So on the next slide, you will see the location of those trees. The circles are the trees themselves that are existent on the property. As for the circle, the colored circle are the proposed plants that will be planted there. In terms of the variance they'll be requesting for 102 Westwood, it includes an increase in maximum height for the detached accessory structure of 4.21 meters, as well as an increase in maximal wall height of a detached accessory structure to 2.74 meters. On the following slide, you will see the adjacent property for 17 Pebble Lane, where an increased variance is requested for the maximum height for the accessory structure to 5.16 meters, as well as the wall height for 2.92 meters. The variants are similar in nature to what was previously approved for variance in the neighborhood for the increased roof, as well as for wall height for the detached accessory structure. We don't anticipate the cabana to have any negative impacts to the neighbor and would enhance the property. This would conclude my presentation and it will be available for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address these applications? One at 102 Westwood Lane, and the other one at 17 Pebble Lane Court.
Through Mr. Chair, yeah. We have Nava and Frank who wish to address item N, which is 17 Pebble Lane Court.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, my name is Nava Garisto. I very respectfully would like to oppose the height of 5.160 meter proposed at 17 Pebble Lane Court. And I would like to explain to you, Mr. Chair, why I oppose it. First point is there is a pretending here that this is called a minor variance. I have some science and engineering background. For me, going from 3.6 meters to 5.16 is not minor. You know, to go from 3.60 meters to 3.61, it's a minor variance. To go from 3.6 to 3.62 is minor. To go from, I don't know, 3.6 to 3.7, maybe it's minor. But as you see in the photo that I sent you, the building is already very high. It's in front of our main window, and it ruins the landscape of the neighborhood. Until now, we could enjoy seeing sky and trees from the window. Now, this huge roof that is come up, as you can see, perhaps Miss Jamie may want to share the photo. You can't enjoy looking through our main window anymore. And so it ruins our joy from our property. It ruins the character of the neighborhood. And it's not a minor, what do you call it, variance. If you scroll it down a bit, you will see what I mean. Not the other way. You see, this is how high this new building is already. Adding another 5.6 meters does not, 5.6 minus 3, about a couple of meters more does not make sense to me. Thank you.
Thank you. And your address again was, I'm sorry?
You see, I'm on 8 Maryvale, so I can see it from my north wind. Is it north? I don't know the direction, but that's my main window, just behind me here.
You're at 8 Maryvale?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
This is a picture that I took from inside my house.
And what am I looking at? Am I looking?
You are looking at the
cabana
building on 17 Pebble Lane Court.
I'm surprised you can see it from
I am surprised too, but I can see it. You know, I am an old lady. I don't see that well, but I can take a photo And it's completely changes the character of what I can see from the window. So I strongly oppose this so-called minor variance, which is actually a very major variance.
Thank you. Does anyone else in the audience wish to address this application at 17 Pebble Lane Court or 102 Westwood Lane?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Okay, in that case, let's deal with the issue at 17 Pebble Lane Court. What am I actually looking at that picture? Yes.
Yes, for you, Mr. Chair. So the property that Ms. Nava has identified is actually the residential property. The minor variance that's being requested right now is for the cabana at the rear yard of the property. So it's not increasing to the current structure that she is seeing.
So we're not adding to that structure. You're putting an additional structure at the back of the property, which is what I see on the site plan. I don't see any additional height to the house.
There is no additional height to the house, sir.
Okay.
If I may, I would like to thank you for this information. And can you just please explain to me, just so that I understand, this extra structure, in which direction is it? Is it in the front or it's Pebble Lane? Like I haven't seen I haven't seen a plan, so I don't know where exactly it is.
Okay, let me ask if our Secretary Treasurer can pull up one of the drawings that we have, in particular, the site plan drawing that would show, where is it? Where this cabana is in relation to the existing house.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the presentation on the last slide would be specific to 17 Pebble Lane. It would show the location of the cabana.
Okay. Can we get that? I realize what you're trying to show me there, Mr. Master, but
It's easier if Jamie shows it.
it's easier if our Secretary Treasurer can pull it up for us.
Mr. Chair, just give us a moment and we'll pull up the presentation for you.
Thank you.
There you go.
All right, so
it's that very dark colored square or oblong shape that's in the rear of the property. That's what we're talking about.
I appreciate it. It's just difficult for me to see. It's quite small on the screen. The street in front here, is this Pebble Lane? Yeah.
Pebble Lane is at the bottom.
At the bottom. Pebble Lane is at the bottom.
All right. So which I see. All right. In that case, I withdraw my opposition to this.
Thank you very much for your comments. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay. Engineering. Do we have any further comments from engineering?
Planning.
No further comments.
Mr. Master, did I miss something?
You just promoted her to engineering. That's okay.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope you get a pay increase. Sorry about that. Planning department. Okay, gentlemen, any comments, questions, or concerns? In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Master, I'm going to volunteer you. Your microphone is off, sir. You're muted. There you go.
After the engineering episode, I muted myself. Anyways, I move that agenda item number, application number, we'll do M first, I believe. A077/21 located at 102 Westwood Lane, and application number A08021 located at 17 Pebble Lane Court. Both be approved with all the conditions contained therein.
Moved by member Master, seconded by member Gossi, all in favor? I see 4 hands. It's approved. They're both approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Good evening. Okay, we'll turn this back to our Secretary Treasurer, who will let us know when we can carry on with other business. Thank
Sure
you.
will. I'll be right back.